Hi and welcome back. It's time to leave the Lofoten. At 6 a.m. we took the express boat from Svolvær to Bodø. On the way we kept an eye out for whales and actually saw some. After a little over 3 hours we arrived in Bodø. There we had about 12 hours to look around the city until 9 p.m. when our next train headed south. First we walked to the train station and locked in our backpacks. In the harbor of Bodø an AIDA was moored. Randomly exactly the AIDA on which an old school friend of mine works. What a coincidence. We walked to an espresso house, ate some food and did some work. We also booked our seat reservations for the trip to Åndalsnes. In Norway this can only be done by phone if you have an Interrail ticket. After that we went on a city tour. We walked along the harbor and then towards the airport, where we saw military planes and helicopters. After that we walked further in the direction of the aviation museum and then back to the city center. For a stopover, Bodø is a great choice, but we wouldn't stay here any longer. For our train ride we got ourselves some drinks and snacks. For dinner we went to eat at Burgasum, very tasty. With that the day came to its end and we waited the remaining time at the train station and cured our back pain. At 9 p.m. we took the train towards Trondheim. This is a night train, but this time we had not booked the sleeping compartment, just like from Stockholm to Abisko, but only seats. Strong northern lights were predicted for the night and we were actually able to see them a little bit from the train. Of course, proper sleep is not possible this way. After 3 hours maximum you can hardly sit on the chairs anymore and somehow try to curl up in the chair. At least we had a 4-person compartment for ourselves. At 7 a.m. we arrived in Trondheim. There we had a 2-hour stay. We just stayed in the train station and didn't explore the city, but it's still on our bucket list, which is why we will visit Trondheim again for sure. After that we traveled another 5 hours to Åndalsnes with a further stop in Dombås for 1 hour. The route from Dombås to Åndalsnes is said to be one of the most beautiful in Norway. Accordingly, the view was really great. As we have already learned in Abisko and on the Lofoten, the weather in Scandinavia changes constantly. From cloudy skies to snow to great weather, we had it all on the train ride. After a total of 16 hours we reached Åndalsnes. As an accommodation we chose an Airbnb again. It is located in the city center but on a hill, so we had to carry all our stuff there with some effort. Let's have a look at this Airbnb. We had a room in a larger house. Overall it was old, rustic and not very clean, but sufficient for the purpose. The bathroom and the kitchen was shared, and we had a quite large room with an extra seating area. That day the only thing on the agenda was to go grocery shopping, as we first wanted to recover from the energy-sapping trip. We had no plans for Åndalsnes except to hike up the mountain next to Åndalsnes called Nesaksla. The next day the weather was kind to us, so we left early. Our goal was the famous viewing platform on the mountain with great panoramic views. Initially the trail was paved and easy to walk. After a short time you realize that you're covering quite a bit of altitude, but the hiking trail was easy. The view was already overwhelming far down the mountain. Hello Åndalsnes, we made it! Finally! The train ride was pretty exhausting. We had a night train from Bodø to Åndalsnes with a stop in Trondheim and in Dombås. but we only had seats, not the sleeping compartment, and this was not the best night, let's say. And now we are here in Åndalsnes. We have a Airbnb right in the city center, and today we are going for a hike. The weather is pretty nice, and we hike up on this mountain which is right next to Åndalsnes. And yeah, there's some kind of viewpoint up in the mountain, and we want to go there. The further up we walked, the more rocky the trail became. Even though the path was no longer paved, you could still walk well. On the way there were always places to rest and enjoy the great view. We also had to overcome larger rock formations, which was almost like a fixed rope route. Along the trail there was a box with a visitor's book that we signed. With increasing altitude, the conditions slowly changed. The temperature dropped and there was snow everywhere. The slope was now more difficult as well. For non-experienced hikers, the way was a bit adventurous, but for the beauty of nature, the great weather and the view on the other mountains, it was really worth it. Just have a look at this. Along the way, we passed a spring where you could bottle fresh mountain water for drinking. What a nice refreshment! Then we reached the viewing platform. We were able to see across Åndalsnes, the surrounding mountains and the fjord. What a view! However, people with a fear of heights should preferably not look down. Okay, let's go. Then we had to decide whether to turn around and walk back or keep going up. We decided to keep walking to reach the mountain station. However, the terrain quickly changed from a lightly snowed hiking trail to alpine conditions. This drained our energy quite a bit. Eventually, we were just walking over snow and ice. Especially the last section just before the top station was pretty steep, which was quite a challenge. At the top we had a break in the restaurant Eggen. After that we took the cable car back down to the city. Even though the hike was exhausting, we would definitely recommend it as the view and the nature are worth it all. The next morning we looked out of the window and there was nothing left of the great weather from the previous day. Therefore, we just had a relaxing day at the accommodation, and in the evening we went for another walk through the city center. We were glad that we had already done the hike, because otherwise we wouldn't have had the chance to do it. Then we had to pack, because the next morning at 9 AM the next train was already waiting for us. Our journey is slowly coming to an end. There was only one destination left, which was Gothenburg in Sweden. On the way we had a small stopover in Oslo too, but that's a story for next time.